evening and welcome to another edition of News Geelong on this cold winter's evening. This week, one lucky Newcombe lady, Sharon King, won the trip of her life to be in the audience of the International Ellen DeGeneres Daytime Program live from Los Angeles. From the active sporting world of Geelong, we look at the thoroughbred racing on the Geelong Synthetic, speak with senior Geelong Cats coach Chris Scott, join the Geelong Supercats basketball team as the Seabull season playoffs loom, and on the local footy scene, the Geelong Falcons, the Geelong Football League and the Geelong and District Football League matches of the day in last week's round. Also, as the finals begin to loom beginning in August. And weather-wise, we'll bring you the expected forecast for Geelong and the Surf Coast over the next 6 days. Trajectory-related early Alzheimer's, or TRED, is undergoing a database study that is looking for community-dwelling, healthy volunteers to use the internet-delivered computerised cognitive tests. Meryl Friend reports.
TRED, Trajectory-Related Early Alzheimer's Database Study. That is a study that's being held across the country, and you can get more information from www.florey.education.au. We were able to speak with Associate Professor David Darby.
We've started this study to allow early identification of people that have got subtle declines in their memory many years before they would be likely to be diagnosed with any more serious symptoms. And the aim of this is then to allow these people to be evaluated again at this early stage so that we can hopefully get them into trials if it looks like they might have very early Alzheimer's pathology, trials that are promising in terms of disease modifying treatments.
We're also looking at the statistics which are saying that this is on the rise and that definitely an increase over the next however many decades. What are the statistics there?
Yes, at the moment we think there are about 300,000 plus people with Alzheimer's disease in our Australian community. We think that by the 2050 or so, that's within about 30 years, we think that that will go up to well over 1 million people who will have Alzheimer's disease. And remember that in the community there are probably people with milder forms of this who are incubating, so to speak, the changes some 20 or 30 years before Alzheimer's disease actually has significant symptoms.
So this study, TRED, first of all, you are looking for volunteers to come along, and they need to be healthy volunteers, and they're using the internet and computerised cognitive tests. Can you tell us about the program?
Yes, so we're looking for people who are aged 50 and above, that's quite true, who can use a computer themselves and so that they can do this self-administered test. The test is one developed by a company in Melbourne that I was involved with called Cogstate. It involves playing cards, so it's somewhat game-like, and it's a performance-based test. It doesn't ask you questions, it just asks you to do things, to press a yes or a no key in response to a very simple question when a card turns face up. So it takes about 10 to 12 minutes. We ask you to do a practice test first just so that you can become familiar with it. And I have to say the registration process is probably more tedious than the test itself.
So David, the million-dollar question, is it likely that there ever will be a cure?
Yes, we're very optimistic that there will be. At the moment, there are lots and lots of treatments which have been developed based upon a much better understanding of the molecular changes that occur at a cellular level. And these treatments have now been trialled with some promising but not definitive results in people who've got probably more severe disease than we want to treat, and hence the reason for doing this study is to try and detect people who are very, very early on in the course of the disease, where we think these treatments will actually be much more effective. You've
just become a part of the Trajectory-Related Early Alzheimer's Database Study. Can you tell us what's involved?
Well, I've registered, and now I just, each month or so, I go in and perform the tasks on the computer, and they take my results, of which eventually I'll probably be able to get back from the doctor. I just have to actually speak to him about that.
Mm-hmm. And so what's involved in the testing?
Just memory testing and At the moment they're using cards, and you just remember what it is and pressing the appropriate button to what you see to answer. There were actually 3 tests with the cards in the test, and then which was a non-score one, and then we ventured onto the score one, which was longer than the practice test.
So how long do you need to set aside?
10 minutes at the most.
And how frequently is that?
Well, I've only been doing it once a month, but I don't think they recommend you do it anymore.
And how long have you signed up for?
Well, until I can remember I'm signed up. And if I don't get Alzheimer's or anything like that, it could be for life.
From the Point Lonsdale Medical Group, Meryl Friend, News Geelong.
Thank you, Meryl. The trip of a lifetime to meet and greet Ellen DeGeneres on the set of her internationally acclaimed daytime TV program awaits Newcombe resident Sharon King.
Lucky single mum Sharon King from Newcombe has won the trip of a lifetime over to LA, tickets to the Ellen DeGeneres show. We were able to catch up with her.
Got a phone call from Swiss Vitamins to say I'd won a trip to see Ellen DeGeneres in New York, in LA for 4 nights. So, yeah.
Now, do you normally use Swiss products? How did entering the competition come about?
Well, yeah, sometimes I do, but I went in to buy some stuff for my back and just some vitamins and things, and they gave me an entry form, and I thought, I'll have a go and put it in, and luckily I kept the receipt, because if I hadn't had the receipt I wouldn't have won it. So yeah, I was up in the art department at school and got the phone call, and the poor kids in the classroom thought I was a nut. They thought Miss King's lost the plot. So yeah, it was really cool.
Now, you were saying that it's only really just hit home.
Yeah, it has, because they've verified the flights in and out of LA, but we've been lucky enough to be able to extend it, because we got $5,000 spending money as well. So we're going to go to New York for a few days and San Francisco for a few days as well. So
you will have a ball. Now, you've got 3 gorgeous kids, but how did you end up choosing Ainsley? Was it drawing straws?
Well, no, it sort of kind of was, yeah. And I sat the kids down and we had a talk about it. And look, Brock couldn't go because he's not an adult, so he really wanted to go, but knew he couldn't. And Kilby and Ainsley were terrific. Kilby just said, look, Mum, you take Ainsley and have a girls' holiday away.
From the Geelong waterfront, Meryl Friend, News Geelong.
Thank you, Meryl. This is News Geelong. As we go to a break, remember you can follow your favourite News Geelong segments on YouTube and also on Twitter and Facebook. We will return after this.